Look at the picture. See the skull. Visible Frankenstein controls. The Brain Thoughts Broadcasting Radio. The Frankenstein Earphone Radio. The latest new skull reforming to contain all Frankenstein controls.
Today's episode of Frankenstein Controlled is brought to you by Gilliam Concarne. He doesn't own a business. He's just very wealthy and has a funny name. Moving on.
Gilliam with meat?
Gilliam Concarne. I haven't made chili con carne in a while. It's pretty good.
Do you remember the evil con carne?
Yes, it was weird.
That went with Grim and
Billy and Mandy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And how they weren't nearly as funny as the rest of that show.
Oh, I like the show for a different reason.
I liked his... I know why you liked it.
I won't fight you on that.
I liked his army of henchmen a lot.
Oh, I liked a certain henchman.
I know exactly which one you liked. Of course you did. We all did.
Yeah, Scar was really hot, dude.
Scar was just bald me.
Yeah.
It was funny how Scar eventually left that show and he lived in the Billy and Mandy universe.
That's true.
And he was just trying to be a calm gardener, a nice boy.
He got Doofenshmirtz.
Mm-hmm.
Scar looks like me, and he also looks a lot like Jeff Bezos.
He's a fusion of B-Rye and Bezos.
Berizos.
Berizos, yeah, Berizos.
Okay.
Can I have some of that money? No.
So we know who you are, but who are all of us?
We are Frankenstein Control. I'm your host, Taylor Russell. And I just can't stop thinking about that scientist lady from that show. My goodness. Oh, Ada, you're there. Hi.
I'm Ada, and I always wanted to name a dog after the purple bear, Bosco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted a dog named Bosco.
and to the left of me, as always, is B-Rye.
I'm B-Rye, and I really did like all the henchmen on that show. His nebulous army of them, you know? Mm-hmm. Nebulous isn't the right word.
Galactic.
That's not the right word either.
Universal.
Amoebus. Is amoebus a word?
Amorphous, I think, is what you're going for.
It's one of them amoebus.
Amoebus sounds like a character that you would have in one of your ridiculous D&D games.
I liked how...
Yeah.
This man, his name is Amoebus. Kind of like Krobus.
Uh-huh.
How I thought that was just a fucking name you made up. Little did I know it's an actual goddamn canon creature within the fucking Stardew Valley universe.
Yeah.
Krobus absolutely sounds like something Ada would make up.
Yeah.
Like 1,000%. But welcome. Sorry.
I forgot what that scientist lady looked like. I'm going to have to Google her when I get home.
I had some problems with her, you know what I'm saying? Some little me was like, oh my god.
Wasn't she in love with Evil Concarne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had a thing and he was oblivious.
That whole deal,
She had red hair, big glasses, and a giant ass.
Yeah.
What more could a young child want?
Was she Dexter's mom? Oh, not without the glasses, but...
But she was also smart.
Oh, yeah. Dexter's mom is super smart. That's the thing that...
Oh, really?
If you watch that show as an adult...
I thought the whole joke was that his entire family were stupid.
Well, they're stupid. They're stupid, but it's charming when you watch the show and you get the sense that the dad, who is blonde, is a lot like the child who is blonde, Dee Dee. They share a lot of personality traits in common, whereas Dexter's mom, who is a redhead, is a lot like Dexter himself. And, like, she's not a super whiz like him, but she's clearly the more competent and skilled
That's true.
The two parents. True. And it's sort of like, oh, that's kind of cute. They matched them up.
I never made the connection.
I only made that connection when watching as an adult while stoned.
I have not done that.
And then you laughed at a flying monkey for 10 minutes straight.
Oh, it was longer than that. That was a good hour. That was a good rest of the movie. I don't remember so much of the rest of fucking...
We're still coming down from Space
Jam.
Yeah.
Because I was laughing at that goddamn monkey. God. Damn it. I experienced a lot of cool things recently, much better than Space Jam.
Oh, yeah?
Space Jam 2, the
Electric Boogaloo?
The rejamming.
Well, we watched Detective Pikachu as a palate cleanser after that, and that was
fun.
good.
That was fun.
That was all right.
That movie was objectively good. No, my birthday was this past Friday, so I went to Maryland.
32.
I'm 32.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
The last one to look across the finish line.
Fresh-faced children.
Yep, I had my birthday, and I went to Maryland to help my dad with a bunch of stuff, and also to see my vaccinated family, who had a birthday thing for me, which was nice. While I was in Maryland, I experienced several fun things, some of which was, watching TV with my dad and noticing that when he logged into his Peacock streaming app, his profile, it says, it's like who's watching, and it has like the circle with the profile. His profile on Peacock is simply named "fuck" in all caps. And that made me laugh. And I inquired why my father named his Peacock profile "fuck," and he said, "Because I hate having to make a profile for every single one of these fucking things now."
Yeah, it's true.
So he just named
it's
it.
Obnoxious as shit, especially when you realize it's all to farm data from you.
Exactly, and he went on a rant about exactly that topic. So that explains why he named it that. I also visited friend of the show, presumably, I'm sure he doesn't listen, and Maryland Cryptid FBM.
Yeah.
Hung out with him a little bit, got to pet him and his girlfriend's adorable dog.
You got to pet him and his girlfriend.
Yes, I did. No, I got to pet their dog, Ollie, who's he's the goodest boy. I love that dog. And he made me aware of a new anime that has become my favorite anime.
Yes, you mentioned it. What is it called?
It is called...
Ralph?
It is called The Saga of Tanya the Evil. Mm-hmm. We just call it Evil Tanya because it rolls off the tongue a bit easier.
Yeah.
But it is an anime that FBM told me about, and then I found it on Crunchyroll and watched a bunch of episodes of it, and I was like, it's pretty cool. And I showed Taylor and Ada a few scenes of it before we recorded so that they would have some semblance of a little bit of an introductory to it.
What he showed us is there's this, 11-year-old girl. She's, got a gun. She's flying around. She's using words like fatherland and praying.
Blonde-haired girl.
Yes, blonde-haired girl with blue eyes. With blue eyes sometimes. Mm-hmm. Her eye color changed, which apparently is something that I was clever to pick up on.
Yep. In a German army uniform.
Yes, in a German army uniform. Flying around killing people with a boot on her foot that makes her fly.
A Wayne head boot.
A
Wayne head metal foot.
A Wayne head metal foot that lets her fly.
Killing guys on little horsies.
Yeah, they had funny little, goofy floating rocking horses that they were flying around in the sky. And I'm like, well, you guys have guns, though.
Yeah, she prays to God, and she makes a shield, and then...
Yeah, she prays to God to protect the fatherland.
Yes, to protect the fatherland.
From the dirty non-pures.
And using her wand, which is eerily shaped like a gun, she casts Bullet and kills a bunch of guys. And B-Rai apparently has the real premise of the show to share with us. Yeah. And it's not evident in what he's shown us.
What I've seen is just basically strike witches, but a bit more fashy.
Yeah.
So no.
And way less underage panty shots, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, of course.
So this show has an excellent disparity between the usual action of it, which I showed you, and what it is actually about.
Uh-huh.
This is a great series to go in cold on. So if you want to do that, stop listening to this episode now.
Or just skip forward a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Don't leave. We need the views.
Well, come back and listen to me describe this after you're more in the know.
Stay a while and listen.
The show is about...
Last chance for spoilers.
In modern Japan, modern our world Japan... a sociopathic office worker who appears to believe in social Darwinism and other shitty libertarian kid kind of ideals, survival of the fittest, who also seems to believe that following all of society's rules will guarantee him success. Mm-hmm. He's at work one day and he gleefully fires one of his subordinate employees, despite the guy begging for his job and talking about how he needs the money for his family and all that. He basically says, "Lamau, fuck off." On his commute home that day at the station, the guy he fired sees him standing there and shoves him in front of the subway train.
Oh, damn. He was straight murdered.
Yeah.
This ain't even a Yu Yu Hakusho situation.
No, shoved him right in front of that train.
Holy fuck.
And at the moment of impact, time freezes, and an entity speaks to the salaryman, and it claims to be God. And God... confirms that reincarnation is canon. That is what happens to all of us when we die. And God basically says something along the lines of, "Well, you're sort of mean this time around, but let's get you ready for reincarnation, there, buddy, because this is your moment of death. So let's get ready to do that." And the guy says, "No, fuck off, fuck you, and fuck this. I don't believe in God. I'm an avowed atheist. None of this is real. You are not real. This is a delusion I am having. The only people who believe in God are weak people who reach out when they are in dire straits for help. But I will not even beg, even though I'm about to die, apparently. I do not believe in you enough to debase myself by doing that. So,
damn.
Screw you."
Well, at least he sticks to his ideals.
Yeah.
And God says, "Nani the fuck did you just say to me?" And
Real quick, what does God look like?
you don't see God.
Oh, it's just a voice?
It's just a voice.
Okay.
And actually, it actually is a really cool idea, because as time is frozen, there's all these people who are there at the subway station, and God speaks to him through their voices.
Oh,
okay. That's kinda cool.
Animates
Yeah.
different people and says things to him.
Oh, that's just a fucking cool idea.
I thought it was a really cool
That's
idea.
really good presentation.
Thank you
I
for
like
clarifying, because I was going to say that if God's just like a 12-year-old anime girl, I'm going to slap you.
No, it is not that at all. It was quite refreshing and dope.
Okay.
So God says, "Dire straits, you say? People only believe in me when they're in dire straits. Motherfucker, who said anything about you being reincarnated now? I'm going to put you in such a universe where you are in such dire straits that you are forced to believe in me and beg for my assistance."
Damn, this God is petty, dude.
So it reincarnates him, and keep in mind, this 30-something Japanese businessman keeps his memories and persona.
Wait, he's the little girl?
He's the little girl.
Oh my god.
It reincarnates him into magical alternate universe Germany, where there is magical powers, and it's like World War I. And none of the countries have the actual names that they have in real life. They all have alternate universe names. But it's clearly the country where
She's from Germany.
yeah, she's from Germany.
She's from non-distinct fascist state.
Yeah. There is actually
Although it's World War I, so fascism clearly wasn't even invented yet.
No, there's no. They picked World War I for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
And also it's actually 1920. So in this alternate reality, World War I dragged on for a really long time, and so fascism and Hitler never happened, and that is not at all the priorities of anybody in the country that is depicted in the show.
Well, it was
There
either
is
that or they could have just had the minions frozen until March.
So basically. Oh, and so here's what God does. God stipulates new rules for the guy.
He's like, "You are a little girl. You no longer have pee-pee. I laugh at you. That's the rules. Ha ha."
In addition to that, God is like, the only way you win this, you have to survive long enough to die of natural causes. I'm throwing you into this world that's incredibly war-torn. It's going to be dangerous as fuck for you. You have to survive long enough to die of natural causes, because if you die in battle or suddenly, I'm not going to reincarnate you.
Oh wow, you just gone forever.
Yeah, you have to either die of natural causes or you have to admit that I'm real and beg for my assistance as God. And if you don't do those things, and the guy's like, "Fuck no, I'm not doing those things. I'm going to beat you at your own game." And he's like, "Okay, let's see what happens, because I'm not going to reincarnate you if you die again when you're this German girl in magical Germany."
Uh-huh.
And so
Magical girl, Minnie.
so she, now known as Tanya, but still with the personality of a sociopathic Japanese businessman.
Can you please tell me that her last name is Lasagna?
No.
Oh, I wanted Tanya Lasagna and her friend Betty Spaghetti to show up.
No. I think her last name was Degurachev.
So is it legit reincarnation where he has to he starts as a baby
Starts as
and
a
has
baby.
to grow all the way up?
Starts as a baby, a fully
That's the worst kind.
a fully
Yeah, that's the
sentient
worst.
adult baby.
Oh.
But because of that, she is quickly seen as a natural prodigy as a child, and she has innate magical talent because God did bless her with some abilities in this world, and she sees that in this war-torn world, the key to protecting yourself would probably be joining the army. So she immediately becomes as soon as she is able, she enters service as an imperial battle mage, basically in the imperial, not German army. And she is still a sociopath, and she commits. So her goal, her actual goal, is to serve so well as a soldier that she is given a cushy, high-ranking officer job out of the front lines, out of danger, where she can then retire, grow up, and die of old age.
Yeah.
And that is the entirety of her goal. But to get there, she tries.
Because nobody actually dies of old age.
Yeah.
You die from an exterior cause that was facilitated by your crumbling infrastructure.
Yeah.
But nobody just dies because like, oh, I'm this many days old.
Yeah.
Ah!
I hit the limit. Oh!
Yeah.
But we're
Yeah, so
getting
is there a
semantics.
stipulation of, like, you can't be killed, or...
So, yeah,
like,
no, you can't be killed.
Okay, so if they died of, like, they got cholera or something.
Yeah, that would count. That would probably count as like a regular natural cause.
Does cholera kill you?
Usually it kills you via dehydration.
Yeah, the
you shit
dehydration
yourself
kills
to
you.
death. It's
Okay.
one of those shit yourself diseases.
I don't know why I
Yeah.
said cholera.
Well, I mean,
Because
it's
cholera
it
happens.
happens to people in armies a lot too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway,
Cholera, dysentery. A lot of ways to shit yourself to death in the army, really.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's the worst time for it.
So she becomes a battle mage, and she quickly becomes a squad leader.
You must be the Arcane University's newest addition.
She becomes that guy,
That's what happens every episode. She passes by a guy who says that.
and she's very brutal. She's very unforgiving, just as she was in life.
As we saw in the clips.
Yeah.
I was wondering why this, like, man, why is this 11-year-old so unhinged?
Yeah.
What the fuck? So, what happened to you?
Yeah, but this was a great way of skirting, because a lot of Japanese animation where the protagonist is a young girl, like a very young girl, falls into the lowly trap, or I don't know how you pronounce it, and I don't really want to learn.
Close enough.
Falls into that trap, or
Where they turn into Lily Worm?
yeah, and you only have one sneaker on the end of your long worm body.
Lowly worm in his single pant. Now I'm just imagining a lowly worm, but he's like wearing a Lolita style dress.
No. Well, no. See, that's why all the soldiers who were flying around were only wearing one boot.
I was gonna say lowly
They were
worm, but he's
designed
got
by
one.
Lily Worm.
Lowly worm in a single boot.
So the
That's the thing that was always bugging me.
There's-
Watching that whole thing is they're using those that one boot to fly, and I'm like, you couldn't have done two boots. Like, I don't know. It's like ticking on my fucking
OCD.
OCD. I'm just like, gee, they'd
So-
be spinning around and shit.
what they're describing
Winghead.
what they're describing is the magical apparatus that's part of the soldiers' equipment in this universe that allows them, if you're a battle mage, it lets you fly around.
So it's just magic.
It's just magic.
Okay.
It's like magic and technology. It's not specified.
Magitech.
It's high fantasy. You're not really supposed to
Final
question
Fantasy
it.
VI.
Yeah, it's Magitech. You're not supposed to question it too closely.
Good.
But so this show, you know how like there's that god awful trope with lowly art where it's like it's a little girl, but she's actually got the soul of a 500-year-old vampire or whatever.
Which makes it okay to jack off to her.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, this is even more in your face, where it's like, this is a Japanese man. This is what you are looking at is a Japanese man who is ostensibly cis, but never, like, that part of it is never addressed.
Yeah.
So, like, he has his only interest is survival. There's very obviously
B-Right, how new is this show?
It's like last year.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, oh my god, how much is B-Roy gonna eat his fucking words about this show? Like, he's only seen like 3 or 4 episodes, and then by the 5th episode, it goes full gross lolly. There's
That might happen.
Full goddamn nasty scene with her, and B-Roy has to
Ew.
be like, I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't know.
There is weird, like, wistful lolly art that showed, like, that only happens in, like, the ending credits, and it's not that, it's weird. It's not that bad. It's like in that way more detailed than the actual art style of the show kind of art. And it's not that bad, but it's really, really weird when you remember that it's a Japanese man.
I'm just imagining this character, this little girl character, drawn by, like, the way you describe it, and more detailed than the normal show. I imagine, like, all of the art and the ending theme is her drawn by, like, Dave Raposa or something. Just fucking super hyper realistic. Like, oh, you've seen Dave Raposa.
I'm sure I have. But
They're like, you have ever seen that, like awesomely realistically drawn, like, Skeletor or the Ninja Turtles,
Yeah,
or
okay.
Power Rangers or things like that? He's done a shitload of illustrations. He's kind of a god, if I'm being real.
So
He's really good at his job.
Another.
What I imagined when you said more realistic is like
The hyper-realistic creepypasta?
No, it's like the gross close-ups and Ren and Stimpy.
That would actually be better.
It's like the Full Metal Alchemist flash screen with her on it, but it's like close up on her face. And like her eyes are bloodshot. She's got eye boogers and like a little tear coming down and like snot hanging out.
Ew. Oh god.
You see her pores and her crusty chipped skin.
So another thing in the
Those
show.
kids are gross, man.
Yeah.
They're sticky.
The clips,
Humans are gross. It doesn't matter how old you are.
It
True.
really
I don't know.
is.
Little kids are more gross. Like, I don't know. Like,
They don't understand hygiene.
They got jam
They
hands.
like touch you with their tiny little horrible spaghetti fingers, and you're like,
Alyssa calls it jam hands.
they do. They have jam hands. Jam handy.
In the clips that I showed you, you noticed her praying to God to protect the fatherland a
Yeah,
lot.
I was like,
So-
seems a little hypocritical to me.
So that's another thing. There's a massive FU from God, who checks in with her every now and then, basically like, ready to call off the bet? You had enough yet? And she's like, no, fuck you. That happens all the time. And on one such occasion, when she was in a really dire strait, God was like, maybe I need to give you a blessing so that you appreciate me more. And so he made her insanely powerful at the world's magic. And she can basically switch into a mode, an overdrive mode, where her spells are really powerful. But to do that, she has to say the words, God, please help me, in some capacity. And when the first time he explains that power to her, she's like, oh, fuck you! And so she is extremely angry every time she has to say, God, please let me like use my abilities, basically.
okay.
So it's actually kind of funny when you look at it that way, once you know that. You know how on Ghost in the Shell, a lot of times, and like this is just going so like, a lot of old anime has like scantily clad protagonists to the point where it's sort of a bad trope.
Yeah.
And you see that now, you're like, oh. But you never feel that way towards the Major because of how she's portrayed as like always serious and very competent.
Yeah.
And you, a lot of times, most of the time, you forget the fact that the Major is half naked all the time. Like when you're watching an episode of Ghost of the Shell, it just doesn't register. You just don't think about it.
You get used to it.
A lot of time, that's what the protagonist being the little girl is. You forget that she's a little girl most of the time. You just like watch her do soldier shit.
Yeah, she's more like a little strange war goblin.
Yeah, she's like a little war goblin, and you get her internal monologue and all the politics she's trying to do with the upper echelon in the army. Only some of it's the battle. A lot of it's like upper echelon politics. She's always like wheeling and dealing and trying to impress these senior officers so they give her a high-ranking job away from the battlefield, and it always backfires on her.
So how many episodes out of how many are there that you've watched?
I've watched about 5 episodes. I think there's
Oh my god, I wasn't
12.
far off.
I think
12?
I think I'm about halfway through.
Has she like started getting older yet? Like you say saga, so that makes me think it's going to go through her whole life, or at least a big portion of her life.
No, I have no idea. I think it's just this part. But
Okay.
what I was going to say was the
If she
show.
doesn't age up in the show, I think that's also a kind of a strike against it. Like,
You can't call it a saga and be 11 for a whole 12 episode series.
oh, I just meant strike against it with the whole Japanese pedo shit.
Oh yeah,
No,
that too,
so
obviously.
There is none that I have to say. There is a completed as what I've seen so far. There is
So
a complete
far.
and total void of that stuff, which is refreshing and nice.
So far. You know, B-Ride, this is all just us doing some CYA right now, right?
Yeah,
We're covering our
Of
asses.
course, yeah,
in case something horrible happens that we were too dumb to foresee with this show, and all it goes tits up.
Yeah.
We could
So-
be like, see, we kind of called that we were being.
we were testing the waters.
Like, we're dealing with lolly shit. We're dealing with fashy shit.
Yeah.
This is a powder keg, Mr. Ryan. You better be goddamn K with the shit going on in the show.
Yeah. I reserve the right to reverse any of these opinions, but it seems pretty cool. So what I was going to say was the show takes brilliant moments to remind you that she's a little girl. And it does it very rarely, but it is always to fantastic effect. And the best example of this that I've seen so far is her unit gets called out to deal with an invasion from this other country nearby that I think is supposed to be like Austria or maybe Poland.
And that world is called Saustria.
Yeah.
Delicious Saustria.
And so
Saustria.
all these Saustrian troops are pouring across their border and invading them, but they're using like ancient tactics. Like they clearly haven't adapted to the new way of warfare. They're like they don't have any air support. They're just like marching in like columns. And so
They're lined up like Romans.
yeah, and they don't have any air support. They don't even have any like anti-aircraft like AA capabilities. They're just walking in with their rifles like schmucks. And Tanya and her squad are like, oh my God, look at these idiots. What century do they think it is? So Tanya orders her people to just fly over them and drop grenades, and they completely slaughter these guys and rout them. And it's like they just decimate these poor saps. And then Tanya's like, that was fun. And then she's like, you know what? Fuck these guys. We basically, by that time, her unit pretty much has carte blanche to do whatever it wants as a highly mobile strike force. So she's like, you know what? You know, it'd be funny if we counter-invaded these dudes and just attacked their capital city, because they clearly don't have any air ability at all, and they need to be taught a lesson because they're simpletons. And so she leads her squad deep into their territory, to their capital city, and there's like a big munitions factory that's like in a civilian-occupied part of the country. And she's like, okay, we're going to attack this civilian target here. And one of her subordinates is like, should we open fire, ma'am? And she's like, no, what do you think? We're barbarians. We have to adhere to the treaties and rules of warfare. And the treaties say when we're going to attack a civilian target, we have to identify ourselves. Even though it costs us the element of surprise, we have to give the civilians a chance to evacuate so that we minimize casualties and only destroy the infrastructure that we came there to take out. And she goes, I'm the commanding officer, so I'll give the order. And she like taps into the comms of the place and like affects the cutesiest little girl voice that she possibly can, that is way different from her normal speaking voice. And she's like, we're the Imperial Army and we're gonna bomb you and all this stuff. And it cuts to like the factory and all these workers and soldiers are like smiling up at the intercom. They think it's a kid's prank. They think that like someone got their little daughter to like test out the PA equipment.
Oh my
God.
God.
And
I think I know where this is going.
It just cuts back to Tanya after she issues the thing, and she's like, well, we warned him. Open fire!
Oh, no!
And they blow the place up.
I knew
they blow the place to
That
hell.
is fucked up.
It hits like the powder magazine part of the whole building, and you know that they basically just firebombed the city.
Yeah.
And she just killed thousands of people, and then she just basically laughs and pulls the unit out. And so she just commits constant war crimes, casual war crimes all the time.
Maybe that's what it should be called instead. The show should be called Casual War Crimes with Tanya Lasagna.
Yeah. Hey, casual war crimes with Tanya Lasagna. There's your episode title right there.
Local baby does a war crime.
Local Lolly, who totally has the soul of a 30-year-old Japanese man, has caused war crimes across the country.
Dear Abby, my daughter keeps violating the Geneva Convention. What can I do?
Yeah. What's the creature's parents? What?
She's an orphan.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah, that's very convenient.
She's a war orphan. She's an elephant.
A warfin.
She's a war elephant.
She also does shit like, well, no, I don't want to spoil too much. The first episode's really good. The first 2 episodes set up everything I just said, and they're a lot of fun.
Okay.
And they're on Crunchyroll, so if you have that, you can watch them.
You heard it here. Watch it maybe.
Go ahead and check out Ballad of Gay Tony on Crunchyroll today.
The Ballad of Gay Tony was one of the better DLCs from Grand Theft Auto.
I think about that title a lot. Gay joke here. It's just such a strange title for a video game.
Yeah.
Like, but it sticks out. It's memorable. You fucking remember it.
What is it about?
It's about Gay Tony and his ballad.
It's
Okay.
about a nightclub owner named Gay Tony, and he's another fixture in
Is he gay?
Yeah, he's gay.
Okay.
And he's another fixture in the, I almost said Gotham City, in the Liberty City underworld. You know, he's just another wannabe, like, big player in the GTA kind of universe, and his main bodyguard and best friend is the protagonist you play as. And so
Okay.
basically you have to play Brock Sampson to his Dr. Venture for all the missions, and
All
help him
right.
take over the nightclub world.
What's that game that you and Jen were playing with Dr. Venture in it?
The Magic Circle.
Magic Circle. Yeah, V-Rai, there's a video game called Magic Circle where, like, one of the narrators of the game is fucking just straight up Dr. Venture.
James Urbaniak?
That's the one. That's a name.
Yeah, the premise is like you're playing a game that's not done yet. So the creators constantly come in and like change things about it and talk to you basically. And he plays the lead developer on it, and he'll come in and say like egotistical shit, and it's pretty funny.
Talk about being typecast, huh?
Yeah. It's Dr. Venture, yay!
Egotistical know-it-all. That is that guy in every role he's ever done.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Jacksepticeye, what was his name?
James Urbaniak.
James Urban Zendaya, my favorite actress.
Your favorite actress. And Zendaya is Michi.
Well, it's about that time where Ada points at the clock and tells me that it's time to put up the old boots and head on out. Get your spurs to jingly jangle jingle on over to the horses.
Put on your
Parked
one
in the
magic
water
boot
bed.
and fly away.
Put on my one magic boot and fly away and promote libertarianist ideals with a lolly. Beer-Eye, what the fuck's gotten into you? Good night, everybody.
Now even you know I am a menace. I hand you the secrets to save the entire human race and the entire universe.